Hello and welcome to Garblag Games. Tonight's just me. I'm here on my own for a bit of chat, a bit of fun. We'll see how long we go. I'm also here to give away one of these books. We may not find out which book tonight, but I will run through the books that I have up for grabs for one of our lovely patrons. Garblag Games is supported by a group of lovely folk who see it worthy enough to contribute to the running of the channel, and a lot of what you see on the channel is down to them. So thank you very much, patrons. You are awesome. And what I wanted to do was do a monthly giveaway for our patrons, and we'll do that tonight, but that's in a bit. I also wanted to talk to you about... Hey Harley, welcome to the chat. I also wanted to talk about Heroic Deeds a bit. My game, Heroic Deeds, if you don't know. If you've never been here before, you may not know that I go on about this a lot, but it's worth it, I think. My Kickstarter that I am finishing writing, I wanted to show you guys a couple of little bits, talk about my face-to-face game I'm playing, which is going really well and lots of fun. And our second session, we had a session 0, is tomorrow night, and I'm very much looking forward to it. And I wanted to talk a little bit about what's happening and how I'm feeling about the game, which is going well. And then after all of that, sorry, things are rattling around on my desk here. I've got my little friend of mine, Shan, printed off this really cool dice tower for me a long time ago, and I still have it, and it is very good for rolling dice. Let me fetch a dice. Here we go. Pop it at the top of the stairs, and we do a little... Hey! I rolled a 10 on a 10-sided die. Look at that. Not the best kind of die. We all know the best kind of die. But there is the little... It's very cool 3D printed thing. So yeah, really cool. Thank you, Shan. Hey Rich, how are you doing? Thank you for joining us. I don't know if you guys have seen, Rich has been running Star Trek Adventures in the Lower Decks world, as it were. Reality, I don't know. I mean, it is kind of canon, but not. It's kind of weird, but yeah. Rich and crew have been running that, and I've just been editing the next episode, which I will be getting up very soon onto the channel. There's 2 episodes on the channel already, and you can go and check those out. Let's pop that over there. It looks pretty cool. You can go next to the big D12, which is a little tricky to see with the arm of this blue Yeti microphone, nicely advertising there, not that I'm advertising it. But yeah, you can't really tell. That's green right now. That's really weird. I was trying to see if... Oh no, it's blue now. It's blue. You can tell by the reflection, I think. Going to play around with the lighting in the room a little bit and try and get some lights on the back wall to make it a bit more funky and a bit more streamer pro. Do a few more of these kind of streams where we talk through progress on games and products that I'm making, because I'm already planning for what I will be doing once Heroic Deeds is finished. I don't want to get to that completion and then sort of be like, what now? I want to think about that already, and we'll talk about that a bit at the end as well. It may have something to do with this. If you don't know what that is, it's that Shadowdark, which is pretty cool. So yeah, lots of good stuff. So sit back and relax. Join in the chat. Ask me any questions. It's all good. If you're watching this back later, because this will be up on the channel. Obviously, this is a live stream, so we'll be interacting with anyone in chat. I doubt we'll get many comments today, but as we do more of these, I'm hoping we get a few more people in the chat, which would be cool. But if there's anything that I touch on that you find interesting or got questions about, just pop it in the comments below, and I will do my best to get back to you. So that's cool. There's a link below as well for the Patreon for Garblag Games, which obviously we'll be talking about that. So Rich says, look forward to seeing the Heroic Deeds book. Oh yes, I can nearly almost kind of feel the future book in my hands as I'm putting it all together. The more complicated things are getting completed soon. All I will have left to do is monsters, which is great. But we'll talk about that in a bit. I'll tell you what, why don't we have a talk about Heroic Deeds? So we're running a play-by-post game on the Discord on Gartopia. Links are below for Gartopia, so you can come and join us. And if you're a patron, then you can join in the play-by-post. One thing I've found, and this was expected, is that the rate of play is quite slow. We've got 7 players in the party, and it can take a little while for everyone, and me, and often I'm the culprit, to take their turns, answer questions, do the results of rolls, all those kinds of things. But it's been a lot of fun, and it's been great to play test Heroic Deeds with the patrons in that way. And I think actually the type of game that Heroic Deeds is, it actually supports that kind of play quite well. So I've been happy with that play-by-post play test. The party, as I said, 7 players, so there's a whole bunch of people taking actions and doing different things, which is great. They're playing their characters well. We've got Folwyn, the elven room wielder, who's a bit forgetful and not very useful on the journeys, but once he gets to the dungeon and starts doing flame bursts everywhere, everyone's like, yes, we remember why we brought him. We've got a trigger happy dark delver who's like shooting the scout, nearly shooting the scouts that are there to rescue, and various other bits. So it's been good fun. They are doing the location called the Lost Beacon. Let me see if I can get this map up. Bear with me a second. Let's have a look. Where are we? So what you do at the beginning of Heroic Deeds when you set up is you all start from Emberwatch and you're going out into the Verdant Wilds. We added a solo version. It was not a thing I looked for, but I know other players do. I'm not explicitly doing a solo version, but most of the phases of the game have procedures to follow, and in the GM section I'm adding some tables for detail, not exactly oracles, but details, random tables, sort of roll on to flesh things out. So you could use those tools to play it solo, and there are retainers and mounts and things that help you sort of get places and carry things. It's a bit more, the character element is slightly more detailed than I would normally think a solo game is, but we've seen things like the One Ring and various other games which have got, you know, detailed setups come out with solo rules. So maybe it's something I'll think about later and have a look at kind of solo rules for it. But I think if someone's really into solo games, they'll quite quickly be able to look at Heroic Deeds and say, oh yes, journeys work a certain way, which means I can complete them. Exploration works in certain phases, and there's a turn tracker for exploring through the dungeon, so that can be followed as if an oracle or a GM-less experience. Combat, I've tried to, maybe I'll show you a bit in a bit, but I think someone would be able to make a solo effort of it, and maybe something I would then look to add later. So the Verdant Wilds. Here we go. Let me see if I can get this on the screen. Let's go over to here, and we will add one of those, and we will add some of that. Yep. Okay. And then I will do a bit of that, and a bit of that. Here we go. And let me move that down, and you can see my lovely face, my bald head. So this is the map of the starting region. Well, this is a zoomed in area actually. It's a larger area, but when you begin, you place down 3 locations. You're given brief introduction from Doric Emberblade, who is the Baron of Emberwatch and the surrounding area, and is there in charge of the effort to explore the ruins in the Verdant Wilds. He has on his table in the Defender Tower, which is the busted up rusty old leg of a realm defender, which is like this giant robot which would protect the world from kaiju. Those things are long since gone and rusted away. Hey Glenn. And one of them now sits on Emberwatch, and they kind of have set up a room inside the knee of this ancient robot leg that looks out over the land. And the land is a big flat disc world, right? So you can kind of look, there's no horizon where it curls away. And basically what happens is there are several ruin locations which you don't know what they are on the map. I think there's about 9 or 10. But when you start, you're given 3 potential locations. And in this instance, we have the Erupted Forge, the Crumbling Outpost, and the Lost Beacon. The Erupted Forge is described as this kind of underground structure that, through some sort of earthquake or surge of magma or something, has pushed up through the ground from the Dwarven Kingdom that's hiding underneath the Verdant Wilds and burst up onto the surface, and it's appeared. The Crumbling Outpost is like an old structure that pokes out onto the surface for the old dwarves to come out, and it's falling apart and they can see it. And then the Lost Beacon is like hey John, welcome to New Zealand. Wow. The Lost Beacon is like this monolith style structure with a hole in the middle, and these were set up by dwarves as kind of navigation beacons with runestones that would float in the center of this hole, and the runestone is missing. It's like a big runestone, you know. And through the telescope on the top of Defender Tower, Tereth, who's the kind of mystic, has been looking around and feeling and dreaming, and everyone's been sending scouts out, and you've seen these 3 locations, and then you generate rumors which you then attach to these locations as well. And this where are we? Rumors. Here we go. So this is my book in InDesign. This is my layout. It's a kind of fusion of Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay and AD&D 2nd edition, with lovely art from Dean Spencer. So there is throughout black and white art, and then plates at the beginning of each chapter. But as you can see, I'm working on these rumors, and each rumor, you generate 3 rumors at the beginning of the game, and you get 1 rumor per site, and each site starts off at danger rating 1, and if you attach a rumor to it, it goes up by 1 danger. Now when you go to a site, and these locations will have different things happen at different danger ratings, and you'll face more creatures. Random encounters will say things like, the party encounters a number of skeletons equal to the danger rating plus 3. So if the danger rating is 1, you only meet 4 of them, but if the danger rating is 6, which is the maximum, you'd meet 9 of them, right? So it's a way of scaling the danger and the challenge rating, perhaps, of a location without it being so overt. But you can say to the party can see this danger rating, and they know, oh, the Lost Beacon, right? There's some Lost Scouts there, right? We've got the rumor of the Lost Scouts. We'll attach it to the Lost Beacon, and this will mean that it becomes more dangerous, but there's another reason to go there. There's more reward. The Lost Scouts are there. They have valuable information, and they will allow us to roll an extra rumor next time. So we want to go there and find the Lost Scouts. In the play by post, the Scouts are still alive. I've adjusted that now so that the scouts are dead, because it takes you like a week to get there. So it doesn't make much sense that these scouts are hiding in a hole in the middle of nowhere. But it kind of makes sense for Lost Beacon, because there's a particular thing going on in the Lost Beacon where energy is being drawn out of people's bodies, and naturally these Lost Scouts are being trapped in these coffins that are sucking their life energy out very slowly, keeping them alive and powering a rift to the Nether Realm. But anyway, that's all fun and games. And some of my players are in the chat, so I'm just giving away all the secrets. Forget everything you hear in this stream about my game, John and David. So anyway, you generate rooms, you attach them, and then you decide where you're going to go. You pick your destination and you count the hexes, and depending on what is in those hexes, you add up 3. So this is where it could be quite solo, right? So this could be quite solo. You could go, right, I've picked where my locations are going. Right, I'm going to put the crumbling outpost there. It's infested by goblins. I'm not too worried about goblins. We'll put it over there. The nearest one I want to go to is this. Right, there we go. And we're going to chart we're going to draw a trail to it. And then the party makes a trail, and that creates 3 values. Your navigation value, your hardship value, and your encounter value. And over here we can see an example of the trail, where you pick your start point and your end point. Let's get a bit zoomed in there. There you go. And we've got the red trail and the blue trail. And you go, oh, well, the blue trail is the quickest route, because it only travels through 4 hexes before it reaches the site on the 5th hex. And normally it's a day per hex, unless you really fail at your navigation rolls. Right. The red route is longer, but it's actually safer, because you're going through hills and you're not going through swamps and boggy forests. Right. So you need to kind of chart where you're going. You say to the games master, I'm tempted to call the herald, but I'm not sure if I'm going to do that. You say, right, we're going to go this route. You total up your ratings and you go, okay. Then the party can all make skill rolls to reduce those ratings, and the more successes you get with your pool of dice, the more you bring that rating down. And if you bring it down to 0, then bad things don't happen, right? And you have the 3 values. You have a navigation, right? Basically, your trip takes as long as the number of hexes plus your resultant navigation rating, which is the amount of rating left over after all the party members have had a go at reducing it. And there are certain skills that you can use to reduce the navigation roll. Now, you may not be great at those. As your character levels up, you'll get better at those skills. But also, you get talents that allow you to use different skills in these phases. Right. Hardship. The team have to suffer a number of wounds equal to the resultant hardship rating when they get to the other end. Right. So this result shows that they've been through hell. Rocks have fallen. They've stumbled. They've twisted ankles. All kinds of things have happened. Maybe they're ill. Maybe they're and they have made their way there. So you can roll to bring down the hardship rating, and then the party can decide who takes those wounds. So you might have a battle rager who's like, I've got loads of wounds, so I'll take them. Like, oh, the rocks fell and I got in the way and they hit me on the back, And the idea is that when the player makes a roll, they're encouraged to get involved with the narrative and sort of talk about how their character used that skill and in what way. And we have some really good conversations in the play by post, and also in the face to face, which I'll talk to you about in a bit. And then you've got encounter. Basically, you need to reduce that down. The number of encounter resultant rating left over is the number of dice that the games master gets to roll to see if there's an encounter. Right, and there's different skills that you can use to reduce that. Right, you'll notice that ride is in all of them. So basically, if you get on your horse and just ride and ride and ride and ride and ride, you'll get there quicker. You're probably going in the right direction, and people will find it harder to catch you, right? But then it wouldn't be kind of a hex crawl without things like weather getting involved, right? Now, I've gone for this simplified hex crawl because although hex crawls are great and lots of fun, if everyone's bought into a hex crawl, they can be a lot of fun, right? And it's the discovery kind of hex crawl where you're moving from one to the next and not knowing what you're going to find that can be quite interesting. However, not everyone's into hex crawls, and also after a certain amount of time, these things can, oh, okay, we found another one of those. Oh, we found another one of those. Right, so how do we, so my idea is that you're just journeying there, but we see what weather you've had, right, and how big your party impacts it as well. If you have an encounter, you encounter in the hex with the highest encounter rating on your trail, and weather is made against the hex with the highest hardship rating on your trail, right? So their different hexes do matter. So which trail you take, you might be like, okay, well, this is short, but there might be one with a really high hardship rating and it's mountains. You look at the mountain encounter table and there's some really tough monsters on there and you think, well, let's not go through the mountains, right? There might be, Saruman might throw spells at us from afar. And then obviously it wouldn't be a hex crawl without some tables, right? So you've got your weather roll. So you've got different weathers for different terrain types. And then you've got the journey ratings for each kind of terrain. So these are the values you total up. So if you traveled through 5 hills, for example, it should increase for larger parties, and smaller party might be able to slip through unseen. Well, funny you should say that, John. If you have a small party, your encounter rating is reduced. If you have a large party, it's massively increased. So you're absolutely right. It should do, and it does. So you total these up. If you had 5 hills on your journey, for example, your navigation rating would be 5, your hardship would be 10, and your encounter would be 10. But if there was a road along the way, you would reduce those, reduce your navigation, but increase your encounter, because people use roads. If you had a big party, then your navigation gets easier, because you've got more eyes to look out. Your hardship gets easier, because more hands make light work. And your encounter goes up, because you're a big party of people wandering through the forest, right, for example. Yeah, so... And this party size includes mules, horses, and retainers, right? And then weather has an impact as well, mostly to sort of navigation and making it harder for navigation and hardship, especially if it's overcast. There's no, it's hard to see what's going on. Rain, snow, storms, that kind of stuff. So this is our journeys, right? And the party made their journey down to the Lost Beacon, and we're now doing an exploration phase in the Lost Beacon, which is great fun, and really, really, it's the procedure's working, so I'm really pleased with the way it's gone. Now, bear with me for a moment, because what I'll do is show you how my face-to-face team have set it up. So in the face-to-face game, we've got 3 players, not 7, right? So they had different challenges. We've got an elf dark delver, an orc light bearer, and a dwarf battle rager, which I think is a great squad. They are missing a little bit of firepower from a room wielder, but the dark delver has got the monocular analyzer, which is basically the predator targeter, which allows them to shoot very well at range. So let me show you how the other team set it up, and this is cool because instantly I gave them the same locations and the same rumors to see what they did. So this is what the other party that you can see a little bit more of the map now. So down in the bottom right, they put the erupted forge with the steam fissures, because they thought, oh, it's steam coming out, it's mixing with the waters of the river, so it's creating all this steam. The crumbling outpost with the rival faction, they put way over by the lake, thinking it was the two rivers coming together as a position where you might have an outpost. And they thought, oh, that sounds interesting. If it's an outpost, the faction is invading it. That sounds quite interesting. And then the Lost Beacon, they were thinking, well, they wanted to do the Lost Beacon description clues you in that it has undead creatures. And because they had a light bearer, they thought, okay, let's go there, because that sounds like, this is going to gel, right? We've got a light bearer, and this one needs a light bearer, so let's go there. And they, again, the words Lost Beacon and Lost Scouts got put together, which was just a really interesting thing, right? But in a different location. So they had a fairly simple journey, a shorter journey to get here, because it's only 3 hexes. But let me just check. I don't want to show you the Discord conversation, because obviously that's everyone in there. I think they got slightly lost in the woods, and they took 1 wound on the way there and had no encounter. So they did pretty well. I think they took an extra day getting there. So they got slightly lost, but they did okay. So they arrived at the Lost Beacon as well. And the exploration phase, I'll give you a little run through of each phase, right? And this is how the game works, right? The encounter phase, let us go, not encounter phase, I keep saying that. The exploration phase. Idiot. The locals were scared of us. They were. Let's have a look. So we've got a bit there. Right. This isn't complete yet, so bear that in mind. So what we have, and this will lend to solo play. Now you may not be able to see it there very well. Okay. Bear with me a moment. Where are we? I don't want to show that one. I want to show the crumbling outpost. Let's see if I got the crumbling outpost. Aha! This should work. Oh. Okay, so let me bear with me for a moment while I add this in. Here we go. So this is a little invention of mine, which I'm pretty pleased with. It's the Adventure Location GM play sheet. Here we go. Let's move that down so you can see my beautiful bald head. Now what this does is this gives you everything for the GM that they really need to run, all the vital statistics and important steps and stages, obstacles, random events, preset encounters, all those kinds of things. And again, this is not complete, but this is, well, it's not finalized. I've written the adventures. I just need to get them all in the right format, complete their forms, their play sheets, and then they can go into the book. So not far off, right? But what it has in the top left here is the danger rating. And you can see the number of hazards, obstacles, and encounters you should provide. It's a kind of guideline to show how hard you should make each foray into the dungeon for a party before they are forced to withdraw. What I've found is, things slowly deplete the hero's vitality and resources. And that's the whole point. It's like an attrition of resources. You've got torches which run out. You've got vitality that runs out. Your rations are in the journey phase, so that's all about your navigation, how many days it takes you to get there, is how many rations you have to eat, right? And if you don't have enough, then you're weakened, which is okay if you're heading back to Emberwatch, but you don't want to arrive at a location with lots of weakened conditions, because then you're at a penalty and you're having to make rolls to recover it from the beginning, right? Which is challenging. Okay. So top left shows the danger rating. The top of the first sheet. I've just realised you can't really see my cursor, can you? Oh well. Let's try. Let's do this, and this, and this, and this. You can see a red circle though, right? So over here, oh, now you can see it. Over here you can see this is the danger rating, right? And it has like hazards, right? So 2, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Obstacles 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, right? So it starts off with more obstacles because this is a crumbling outpost, but more obstacles actually turns into more hazards, yeah, because it starts to fall down on you and hurt you, right? So these values tell you something about the dungeon that you're going into. Is it full of monsters? This one's not particularly full of monsters, but it's just dangerous to be there, right? Over here we've got the turn tracker, right? And this is a guide, so a Games Master can use this as a guide. They don't have to explicitly stick to it, but it's a strong guide of how you should run this adventure, right? Each turn is 5 minutes, and a party can take different actions in the exploration phase, one per hero in the party, right? So our party with 7 people have 7 actions every exploration phase. So they're searching every room, they're moving around cautiously, someone's investigating to look for traps and hazards, and they're advancing, which allows you to move 2 zones. And you can see the red on the map here. Wherever there's a red circle, that counts as a zone. So there's 24 zones in this map, right? And as you can see over here, I think you can just, it's just behind my head. Here, there's certain things you need to do to clear the location. Explore 10 rooms, overcome 2 obstacles, and defeat 8 goblins, right? Once you've done that, you've cleared this adventure location. And heroes have deeds that relate to the number of adventure locations that they've cleared. So that's cool, right? So it helps. It's kind of explicit in saying how you win the dungeon. We've got a random treasure table with some cool little treasury bits on there. From a discarded arrow to a bag of writing supplies, right? And then, excuse me, over here we've got a basic hazard and obstacle. Now there are example hazards and obstacles in the game, but what I wanted to have in this sheet is all the things you need to run it, without except for the monster stats, which will be stat blocks that you can that are in the bestiary. So if you're like, oh my god, a hazard, what do I do? Oh yeah, okay, I've got falling rubble. I can always fall back on that, or I can always put in a blocked doorway that will get in the way. Then sometimes there are deeds associated with a adventure location. In fact, all of them will have at least one deed in there. Some of them require a certain archetype because there is a certain activity, like consecrate a little forge that was dedicated to Ondrim. The goblins have messed it up and desecrated it, and you've got to spend a rest action in the dedicated forge. If you do, Lightbearer recovers no vitality as part of that rest action because they are spending time consecrating this area, and they can advance a deed. They produce 1 less noise every turn after the forge has been consecrated. So it's like the divine magic in the area helping them after they've done a good deed. And then you can do a harvest. There's like fungus everywhere, mold, and if you have a wild walker, they can make lore rolls to get successes to harvest this fungus. which will restore your vitality. Right. The party gains a number of edible fungus treated as tincture equal to the danger rating +1. There you go. So again, the danger rating comes in. Then we've got random events and we've got preset encounters. That's not the right view, actually. Bear with me a second. That's okay. That's okay. It's actually the wrong version of this file I'm looking at, because there's more that goes in here. Over this area and this area here. Basically, in each of these areas, it tells you what you're facing, and it gives you a tactic for those creatures and a morale condition. If half of their number are killed, they run away. That kind of thing. Or if they're undead creatures, it will say these creatures fight until they are destroyed. That kind of thing, right? So it gives a steer to the GM as well, what's going on. There is a scenario based around the location. So in the book, there will be these 2 pages, and then, excuse me, 4 to 6 other pages that detail what's in each room. So you can read through it, see all the stuff. That's cool. What's actually going on, what's going on in the dungeon. And then a few other bits, and some, maybe the odd special monster just for that location will go in that area. The idea is that these sheets will provide the GM with the tools they need to run this dungeon in one place. Rather than scattering it through like a 30-page document, distilling it down so that it's easy to run, right? And I find them useful when I'm running these, right? So it's really handy to have a lot of this information in one place, with the backup of descriptive text and all that good stuff in the book as well. So the party plays out 5-minute turns, completing their actions, and they may run out of vitality and decide to leave and can retreat from the location, or they might want to they may decide that they want to, or they may clear the location, right? In which case that location is complete. Then they can journey back to Emberwatch. They can perform their downtime activities. So we get into downtime as well. Excuse all the scrolling. Journeys, monsters, journey example, downtime. So there's various actions that the party can do during downtime. And this is where you can level up skills that aren't related to your archetype. You build up influence with different groups: the council, the militia, the pioneers, and the supernatural influence. This is kind of the priests in Emberwatch, the kind of underlying magical effects of your deeds coming through, right? And as you level up in each of these, you gain a new title. They might refer to you as, the militia might refer to you as recruits, and then as defenders, and then as guardians, right? It's just to give. I love all that old D&D stuff where the fighter, each level had a different name and all those kinds of titles. So as you go up influence, you have all your titles, and then you've got your downtime actions. There's various different ones you can do, and as you level up in your archetype, you can do more with each downtime action. You can combine them, or you get special actions that you can add to one of these, so that each time you go out and come back, hopefully, if you've done it right, things are different. You can get more out of it, and eventually you can come back and build something in Emberwatch, because you're such a hero. You get to level 6, you've done all of these great deeds that they're like, right, you either do it yourself, or the locals get very excited and build you a tower, or you build a tavern, these kinds of things, right? And even more stuff can then happen. And what I decided a little while ago was that this book is going to go up to level 6, and then level 7 to 12 will come later, because I want to change slightly how the game effectively functions in the we're getting more powerful phase of the game, so it doesn't suffer from, oh hey, we're level 20 and we're doing the same thing we did when we're level 1, it's really boring and the same thing. I want to just not completely, just subtly change how the game works once you get up to that level, and I need a little bit of time to think how that works, but I think that could be really interesting. It could be really compelling for players to think, oh, we've got like basic heroic deeds and then advanced heroic deeds when you get onto the next batch of levels. When you start to have power in the region and factions become more important, that's the kind of thing I want to do. So you've got all of that. Downtime, and I'll show you Dark Delver, I think. Let's go to the Dark Delver and show you levels 1 to 6 now of the Dark Delver. I'll just go quickly. Hey, it's my stream, I can talk about whatever I want. And show you the level 6 type activity going on. Again, still not complete, still work in progress, but as you can see, I've done a hell of a lot more, and we're getting close to being finished, so I'm super excited. Let's go up to, there's the Battle Rager, who is complete, and at level 6, if you see the level 6 level heroic deed, I think I need to move these over and put a little image in, a little bit of art in there. That'd be quite nice. The 6th level heroic deed is you have to complete 4 things to get your reward, which is, for the Battle Rager, an arena. So the Battle Rager become famous enough and proven their skill at arms that people of Emberwatch help them build an arena so that skills may be taught to others and the entire outpost might benefit from. The Battle Rager must build either a gladiator academy, a monster fighting pit, or the gauntlet. Each increases your influence, and once per downtime phase you may spend your action gaining one of the listed benefits. Each benefit may be taken once. Right? So I think someone asked me before, how do you put up the main stats? This is how you put up the main stats. You get to level 6, and then you can increase your main attributes. And I need to add a few more bits to the Battle Rager. I forgot about that actually. But you can do things like recruit a hopeful, so you have a retainer that goes with you, and as you go up to level 12, it may be that you have like followers, right, that go with you out into the world. And the Thunderdome, yes, well, yeah, absolutely, right. And that's the kind of thing you want to get into, like how it's constructed and who's involved and all that good stuff. So the council love it because it has all the kind of prestige of a gladiatorial arena. The monster fighting pit. The locals have captured enough strange beasts to help young adventurers learn how to survive the verdant wilds. You gain 2 militia influence. Highlanders could be more about their allies, contacts, and that too, John. Yeah, factions, contacts, allies, that kind of stuff. And then the gauntlet. You build a circuit of physical challenges so demanding in their mechanical brutality that only the most agile can survive. So that can increase your speed and evasion. The monster fighting pit helps you with defiance, and the gladiator academy is toughness, and the hopeful, I need to expand on those a little bit. So the Dark Delver, I've changed the format of the bonuses here. It was all in text, and it was a bit hard to like pick out what actually you were getting, right? So I wanted to make that really clear what's going on. We've got our little role for their step in the legend, which is good fun. Got their starting talents. Annoyingly, the relics couldn't fit under there. So a nice piece of art of a Dark Delver here, sneaking up on some gnolls. So that's fun. So we've got the relics. The Dark Delver has got these strange relics that they put together from pieces that they find in the adventure locations as they go. They don't have to actively do this, but as they use their relics more, they at certain levels they discover another relic, and the idea is that they go, oh look, hang on, these four bits that I've just picked up while we were all wandering around actually go together and make a big hand cannon, or a temporal capacitor, that kind of thing. So we've got all their deeds, first through 6th, and the 6th being the big heroic deed, right? Hence the name of the game. And then we've got Dark Delver talents, again with some more lovely Dean Spencer art. And we've got the guild. So the Dark Delver builds a guild. They can build the Adventurer's Tavern, the Collector's Guild, or a Mechanical Reliquary. Mechanical Reliquary allows them to learn how to use scrolls, because it's studying all the runes on all of the ancient relics that they've found. And I although it was very late in the game, and this may seem late, but level 6 won't be that bad, I don't think. This ability is quite good if you don't have a rune wielder in the party, for example, and you keep discovering runic scrolls that have spells on them. But they can't learn how to... they don't learn spells. They can use scrolls, and they can scribe runes, right? And scribe runes is... you can imbue spells into scrolls. You may add a scribe scrolls activity to any downtime activity for an additional 10 silver pieces. Pick 2 rune wielder spells. When you take this action, you scribe 1 scroll of each spell. You can't cast spells. You can scribe scrolls. And then you get scroll use. You're able to cast rune wielder spells from scrolls as a cast spell action. You may only use 1 action when casting spells from scrolls. As you are not a rune wielder, it still costs you vitality to form the spell, even from a scroll. Yeah. Yes, the arena could also be... The arena is also for performances, which is why you get council influence, right? But yeah. So the Dark Delver is now complete to level 6 with some tweaking. We'll get there. Collector's Guild, magic items, Adventurer's Tavern. You can add another adventure location to the region map. You can recruit a novice adventurer, and there'll be stats for a novice adventurer as a retainer to support you. So that's going really well. That's lots of fun. One of the fun things that I was doing. Hang on, let me just check. There was nothing else I want about the book that I wanted to talk about. No, I don't think so. One of the fun things I've been doing is the exploration phase. Bear with me a second. Sorry, some rattling there. I've got my... This is my GM kit. So I've got my nice box of all my dice and figures and tokens and things. Handy. I've been using fate tokens from Talisman board game for luck tokens because they're double-sided and they're quite nice just to flip over when you've got good luck or bad luck. I got a new battle mat. It's really a battle board. It folds out. And the pens worked really well. It's not like one of the mats I had, even straight after, if you drew on it, it took quite a bit to get it off. This is like proper whiteboard, wipe clean, which was fantastic, and I could quickly draw the map on. And then I got myself an A3 gridded. Can we see that? Yeah, oh, secrets. That is the lost beacon. Oh dear, it's done weird things with my lighting. Let's sit back a minute. Anyway, so those are me, and then I take my laptop, and ultimately that will be the book, right? So you draw the map as they go, through the exploration phase. You don't put the map out and then they've got to wander around like they don't know where they are. Right? It's dungeoneering, right? And then the dungeon map is a 10-foot square scale, and then you bust out the battle mat and draw out in 5 foot. Hang on. Let's put this away for a second. 5 foot squares, and that can go there, and then this will make some noise. There we go. So it's been fun getting that out and drawing the dungeon as we go. I mean, what I've been doing with the play-by-post is in Inkscape just adding the next section of the map on, and that's been fun. I draw it for them as well, actually. So they've come in from another angle. So they've come in from one side of the map and they've come in from the other side of the map. So I draw that, I take a picture, put it on the Discord, and then when we did combat, I had a Inkscape map with a grid on it, and I had little circular tokens for the bad guys that I then moved around as everyone told me their actions, which worked really well. It worked really well. So I was pleased with that. I was worried how combat was going to go in a play-by-post, but it was actually pretty smooth. So that was good. That's not all of my dice. No. Those are D12s in there. I've got other dice all around here. I've got one over here, look. It's one there. Got a box of dice over there. I've got you can't see it, but up there I've got a load of dice in a giant D20 dice bag from the Thornless Rose. Cool. That's just the dice. That's just the stuff I take for this game. So, yeah. Cool. Anyway, right. So, Heroic Deeds is going really well. I'm really pleased with how it's coming on. I think the game is going to be solid. I think it works. I've played it with enough people now that I'm very happy with how it's going. There's going to be a few, things here and there where maybe a monster will have slightly wrong stats is the wrong way to put it. But balance isn't the goal. There's no, this monster is a level 5 monster. The balance comes in the danger rating and the sense of the GM understanding it. And the idea is that it's not a game where you're going to milestone level and automatically win in a dungeon. You might go into a dungeon and someone might die. Once you get to level 3, you don't die anymore. Your party take you out of the dungeon. When you get back, the priest is like, okay, you guys are good enough now that I'm going to waste powerful magic on bringing you back. So after level 3, you get the hero talent, and that means that you don't die. When your party go back, your downtime activity is coming back, and then you're revived, and then you can, carry on the adventures with your friends. It struck me that I think that this would be a good system for a West Marches game. Yeah. I was looking at. I've backed the. I will say I backed the Shadowdark Western Reaches Kickstarter because I'm really interested in what that looks like. Especially from the very simple stripped down rules, I think it's going to be much more of a random hex crawl system than necessarily the way I've gone with hex crawls, which is cool. There's many ways we can play all these games, and I'm trying to create a specific feel and experience. But I'm really interested in how that's going to work. But one thing I want to try and do is set up for Dragon Meat like a 3 or 4 GM room with like 16 to 24 players who are taking part in a West Marches game where you can increase the number of starting locations to the number of parties and give the same number of rumors out, but then you get everyone in the room to vote on which location is where, right? And then vote on which rumor goes where, and then you go, okay, cool, right. Who knows that dungeon best, right? GM, you're going to run that location, right? This location is undead creatures. We need a party of. We're going to try and split it evenly, right? We need a party of this, right? You're going to do that adventure, right? You're going to do that adventure. You're going to do that. Like, let's all do our journeys, right? Do the journeys, right? Now we're doing the exploration. Okay, we're exploring and fighting, and the whole idea would be to see how far you could get in like a big old thing, and you could like halfway through the day, if people had got back for a downtime, you could like switch parties and say, oh, we went in there, it was really hard, we want to go back, but we need a light bearer, and they go, oh, we've got 2 light bearers over here, we'll come, one of them will come with you next time. That might be interesting to try and do. I don't know how feasible that is, but I think Heroic Deeds would actually be a really good system to do a West Marches game in, because of like your downtime is 5 days, you count the number of days you're out on the map, but a journey doesn't take you ages, you know, and you're not randomly rolling for everything. You're kind of putting together your trail. Everyone could build their trails, and then we could say, all right, what happened in everyone's journeys? You know, oh, we did this, we did that. You know, it could be. I think that could be a really good way to do a West Marches campaign. So I'm gonna think about maybe. Here you go. I'll write this down before I forget it. Where's a pen? Oh, I've got all these pens over here. Here's an idea for a product: solo and West Marches rules product. There you go. That will be a product that comes out for Heroic Deeds some point in the future, once I've played it a couple of times. So that's cool. So the goal right now is complete the book, and I'm getting there. Hopefully you can all see that. And what I'm showing you is quite interesting, hopefully. So that's cool. Talking products, I'm going to talk about what I want to do. Oh, I seem to have got something on my face. There we go. What I want to do after Heroic Deeds. Heroic Deeds ideas first, and then other product ideas, which I will probably do first, to broaden the audience, and then do some more Heroic Deeds after that, or depending on what happens, right? But I've got ideas for Heroic Deeds. I want to do a naval version region map, right, which is over in a certain part of Arlorn where a giant monolith fell down and caused a crater, and it's from I've kind of commandeered an idea from a game that I played with Sofinio and some of the others on the Gartopia Discord, which was like more of a world building campaign thing. I'm not stealing any rules, I'm stealing up an idea that I came up with to put back into my world, which is this shear. They call it the shear. It's like this huge slab of ancient stone that's fallen down, created a crater, which is filled in with a sea, and there's like towns around the edges, and the shear is covered in runes and filled. It's big enough to have like levels inside it. So the idea is to try and get there and get in. There's little islands dotted around, so there's a bit of journeying and naval combat, but then there's dungeons in the middle of different levels of the shear and trying to unlock knowledge. I then also want to do an urban region, which would actually be Morastabar, which is the largest human initiated city on Arlorn, which is at the boundary between 2 countries that had a war and now have separated. Morastabar's in the middle on this big river, and the idea would be that the adventure locations would be places within the city, and your journey would go through the city, so you wouldn't be days, but it might be hours, or it might be, half hours, for every hex you move through. And then your encounters might be like busy market locations, might be marketplace, residential, various things that would have different risks and obstacles in. And then when you get to the location, then you've got more of it might be like someone's house that you're going into, or the sewer area of the sewers or something like that, right? So an urban style campaign that would work there. And then I've got a vague hint, two other ideas. One being in the Sky Islands of Yanneth, and another one being on the coast of the Elemental Ocean in Glorium, just because it'd be wild and crazy. But those are some of the things that are in my mind, and with each of those I would add more archetypes and therefore talents and structures and different ideas, right? So there would be more there. Obviously I want to do a solo and West Marches rules product now, because that's that would be cool. Get more people involved with heroic deeds. That's cool. So I've got like 5 or 6 things that I'd like to do. I've also got an idea for a board game set in the World Mountain, with the Sky Islands of Yanneth moving around the board as you're trying to get to Yondan Grid at the top, to reform that city in a kind of competitive, a bit like the Dune board game type thing. Board games, you say? Yes, Glenn. I've got another game that I'm trying to make, which is a miniatures game for my sci-fi setting, but I'm not going near it right now. I need to at least stay focused to a certain degree. But one of the things I want to do is look into writing some Shadowdark stuff. I've been reading the book. I really like it. I've been watching lots of videos. I've been in the Discord talking with people. It's just had a very successful Kickstarter, so it's like got lots of support. There's lots of people playing this game, and it's very similar style of thing, old school dungeon delving, all that kind of thing. I love drawing dungeon maps, so it kind of ties into a lot of the things that I like to do, help broaden the audience for Garblag Games. And I want to run a Shadowdark campaign on the channel, which I think is probably going to be the next thing I run, rather than Heroic Deeds itself, because I'm still finishing it off, and just putting the finishing touches to it. I've got a lot of monsters to write out, which is going to take a while, but that's fine, because I'm doing it all myself, which is madness. Why did I do this? And that will allow me to create smaller products that are more succinct, not 300-page books, and I will be able to do a few smaller things to expand my my layout skills, my editing skills, and create more products for Garblag Games, so more of a breadth, right? So it can get more people into Garblag Games community, right? So all of that's going on. I'm going to be doing, as I said, doing Shadowdark. That'll be fun. I have already dipped my toes and started creating some classes for Shadowdark, just to kind of see how I felt about it all. Can I share that? Can I share this? Where are we? Let's go to. So I shared one to patrons recently, and the patrons are going to get the 2 other classes fairly soon. And I know patron people are probably waiting around to get the patron giveaway, but you got to do the giveaway at the end, otherwise people won't hang around and watch the video. So I've gone for martial classes first, fighter derivatives basically, because they're simpler to do, but they've also allowed me to like add in weapons and armor which aren't too complicated to design, but will need a bit of play testing. So I'm hoping someone who joins my Shadowdark party for the campaign might playtest one of my classes and showcase it in the campaign, and then people might be interested and blah blah blah, see how it all works. You gotta work it. I want to do this full time, Not that that is ever going to happen, but it would be awesome if it did. Let me go over to the other screen and let's turn that off. And let me add window capture. Oh, that's very white screen, isn't it? Wowzers. Wowzers, trousers. Okay, let's zoom in a bit. Right, so I've made I've made three classes. I've had a go at making 3 classes for Shadowdark. We've got the Gladiator class. I mean, that would be amazing, Glenn. Full-time designer, game designer, and YouTuber would be fantastic. The white light is really shining off El Bonzo here. So we've got the Gladiator class, who's got different fighting styles, adaptive fighter, humiliating taunt, and I was like, oh, they get different armors. You know, there's the one with the breastplate, scale mail, you know, like sleeve, that kind of thing. Bucklers are quite important. I thought this gives me an opportunity to make a net. That sounds like fun, right? Using a net is good. So that's a class, right? It's 2 pages of stuff. Not even that, because the armor and weapons aren't necessary, right? You have a page of details. It's a solar panel for the brain. Thank you, Rich. My bald head is indeed a solar panel for my brain. It doesn't vent heat very well, though. There's no hair on there anymore. I get overheated quite easily. It's just like... so it's fun trying to come up with all the names, titles for the different levels, and I was actually doing some research into gladiators and all the different types and whether they were kind of spear or armor based or sword based, and what that might mean for lawful, chaotic, or neutral. I got a little bit carried away with that, but that was quite fun. Then I've made the barbarian class, which is kind of inspired by Conan. He can defy the gods and trade luck tokens for hit points. Gets a bonus to resisting. Spells cast on him are harder to cast because he's just like, no. And then legendary muscularity, gets advantage on like physical checks. I was thinking, what does Conan do in Conan the Barbarian movie? He like pushes things, he lifts things up. I'm sure there's breaks something at some point. There's throwing rocks, right? There's climbing and there's jumping. And I thought, yeah, okay, those kinds of things. It allowed me to add in some different armor. The battle harness. Think He-Man's big, straps on his body, and he's got a scabbard there. The battle harness allows you to carry 2 gear slots of close combat weapons for free, because it's so well designed to hold weapons. But it's very light armor, and thick furs. I thought, oh, yeah, gotta have thick furs for a barbarian, right? And then I've got the swashbuckler class. I had tried to base the name of all the abilities off of the fencing styles named in The Princess Bride, but I thought it was a little bit too on the nose. So I've gone for Grand Entrance, Heroic Idiom, Lunge, and Parry Riposte. I might have spelled that wrong, but hey. And then in here, I was trying to add a little flavour. So like armour, leather armour, if you must. Padded doublet, scale mail, so clumsy, and buckler. Prepare yourself for the most dazzling display of sword skills and heroics that you have ever seen. I am here to bring an end to your foul regime, rescue the prisoners, and save the day. Huzzah! Yeah, just getting into it. And then here I thought, oh, we've got padded doublet. Properties, looks fantastic. That doesn't do anything, it just looks fantastic. And then some swashbuckler weapons, right? Because they got special weapons, pistols, main gauche, which gives you +1 armor class versus close melee attacks, rather than I'm not doing actual 2 fighting. I'm just kind of adding a benefit for holding another weapon in the other hand rather than a shield. So, but your main gauche doesn't protect you against ranged weapons, right? So, yeah, and then gonna do some species or ancestries. I'm not sure what they call them in Shadowdark. Ancestry, I think it is. So I'm already writing down a few ideas. And yeah, so I'm going to be getting more and more into some Shadowdark designing, which is a lot of fun. And as you can see, it's pretty easy to start having a go. And then I will start probably using some of my adventure maps from Heroic Deeds to create dungeons for Shadowdark and share like a book of, when I say book, I mean like a zine style thing of classes, character options really, classes, equipment, and ancestries, and then do little dungeons for Shadowdark and see how they go, right? Those might just be straight on drive-through RPG, or they might be little Kickstarters just to fund them, you know, so I can get art and stuff in it, and so that my time is, and then I can put the money back into the channel, right? So that's kind of my thought process so far on terms of Heroic Deeds stuff I want to do, but I'm aware that Heroic Deeds is a small audience, a small part of my small audience, right? So there's a Garblag community, and then there's like the Heroic Deeds people, whereas Shadowdark's got like thousands of people who might, some of them might come and join in our community, see our games, see our shows, you know, that kind of thing. Cool. So that's been happening, that's going on. Try not to get too carried away with that right now, but I'm aware that what for now, yeah, Rich, what I don't want to get carried away with Shadowdark, but what I'm making in Heroic Deeds to a certain degree, the adventure locations, for example, can be used for Shadowdark. I can tool them up for Shadowdark, put all the right stats and, you know, rules stuff in there, and then there we go. There's a Shadowdark product that people will probably buy, because a small dungeon is, people always need little dungeons for Shadowdark, right? It's a dungeon crawling game. That'll be fun. Cool. Okay, so that's Shadowdark. That's Heroic Deeds. I suppose we better do this Patron giveaway. So I have got a spreadsheet of all my so put on my Patreon, we used to have lots of different tiers: $1, $4, $7, $15, blah blah blah. Now there's one paying tier that you can join, which is a $4 a month support the channel tier, right? Anyone on that tier or higher from one of these legacy times, I've put into a list, and we've got 27 names that I'm going to generate 3 numbers, and the first one I'm going to say, hey, you are the winner, and here are the 6 books. Which one do you want? And if that person says, oh, I've got all of those, I don't want it, I'm going to go, okay. Second person, here are the 6 books. Which one do you want? Okay. No one. None of them. Okay. Third person, here are the 6 books. Which one do you want? Right. And if none of that happens, I'm going to just find someone who wants a book. Right. But hopefully people will want one of these books. Now, I'm not going to show you the list of everyone's names, because that's not, I don't really want to share that out, right? So I've got 27 names. They're numbered on here, and I've got 3 cells that are randomly generating a number between 1 and 27. I'm going to refresh the screen in a second, and it's going to tell me those numbers, and then I will be able to tell you who is winning. It doesn't really matter to me who gets it. I just want to give something to the patrons, because they're awesome and they support Garblag Games. Without them, we couldn't have done all this stuff that we do. You know, so it's just a little way to say thank you, and I will reach out to those people in turn if required, and I will see which book they want and post it out to them very soon. Cool. What I'll do though is I'll go through the 6 books. I think it's 6. 7 books. Right, let me move this stuff out of the way. This is that's a little, it's a small office. First, hang on. Cheers, everyone. Oh, that's nice. Right, so we've got 7 books. Oh, and unfortunately, if you've joined the Patreon between now and the stream starting, then unfortunately, I don't think anyone will have. You know, here's hoping. Let me go and check. But we do have a lot of people who have joined as free patrons, which is cool and fine. It's great. We've got 181 people in total who are members. 34 are paid, and 27 are of the $4 or above. Hey, Millie. Hey, welcome to the chat. All awesome people, and I know I do the same. There's a bunch of like patrons you kind of follow to watch and see what's going on and what's cool. Hopefully, between talking about all the games we're playing on Gartopia, Euphoric Deeds, with the Shadowdark classes that'll be given to patrons, and then how about a book? Maybe some more people will come and join the Patreon and expand the Garblag community even more. Cool. What I'm trying to think about this year is with operations, health problems, recovery, work being crazy, it's been quite a year, and my interaction with you guys and the channel has gone down. That's because I'm writing this big fucking book and I want to get it finished, but I want to get back in with the channel and streaming and making videos and making smaller, quicker products that I can share with the community, share with the patrons, and hopefully sell and grow this community, right? And I've been chatting with Millie and Ben about how we can do that. So we're going to do more stuff. There's going to be more going on. Yeah, love Gartopia, but fuck, it's been a year. Yeah, Millie. Love you, Millie. Yeah, so, I still suffer from nerve pains down the right-hand side of my body every day. So it's quite a challenge. And some days it's even a challenge to type because I'm right-handed. I can touch type, that's fine. But sometimes my right hand is like pins and needles and lightning bolts, and it's like, I've just got to keep going. So it's fun and games, but it's making it all worth it. I feel like in spite of all that stuff, I'm going to do it. Right, it's going to get done. It has taken longer than expected, unfortunately. But hopefully everyone will see how much I've wanted to do this and get it done when it's done. Anyway, before I start crying, here we go. So I've got seven books here. I'm just going to run through them, and people can, whoever I select to send them a book for free, we'll pick one of these. So we've got the One Ring, Realms of the Three Rings. Sorry, this is the One Ring version of this book. We also have the 5e version of this book, right, which is called Keepers of the Elven Rings. I assume they have to name them slightly differently so they can be different products, ISBNs on their website. So you've got 4 chapters, well, 3 chapters and an appendix, right, in these books. This one's a bit easier to read on the back of this one. Chapter 1, Where the West Elves Still Linger, describes the realms of Lorien, Rivendell, and Lindon, and those who dwell there, including the elf lords who are their guardian. Chapter 2, The Days Darken, provides the Loremaster with details about Sauron's schemes against the immortal folk, including possible events, adversaries, and Loremaster characters. That sounds interesting. And then Chapter 3, Landmarks, outlines 12 sites of interest, including locations mentioned in Lord of the Rings and others created specifically for the game. And then you've got the appendix, which contains rules to play High Elves and Wood Elves, and introduces guidelines to create Elf Lords, powerful characters who can reach level 20 and are therefore suited for epic level play. That's the D&D 5e version, right? Which I assume is not 2024 compatible. I assume it's 2014 compatible. But there's lots of cool stuff in here. These landmarks look like basically adventure locations. Let's take a little look in here. This lovely book. Sorry, it's a bit hard to see because I've got bright lights on in here. But there's lovely artwork in here. And these are exactly what I thought they would be. And this is the kind of thing that I'm going to produce. So like a little 4-page, I skipped right past it. Here we go. 4-page adventure location with all your details. Yep, you've got that in there. So that's pretty cool. Excuse me, I just whacked the microphone. So you've got 12 of those locations in there. Then you've got a whole bunch of stuff for the Lawmaster and loads of other things. I have to do some sort of I should start doing like flick throughs. I've got an arm which can I'm hanging my headphones on at the moment, but can do top down. Maybe I should do a little bit of like not technically not reviews because I haven't played it, but maybe just like, here we go, let's flick through this book together and have a look at it, give you my opinions. And then this is Realms of the Three Kings. So in here, right, this talks about elf lords. Oh, here we go. So the difference here, the appendix contains rules to play High Elves of Rivendell and Elves of Lorien, and introduces guidelines to create elf lords, powerful characters especially suited for solo play. So the solo rules coming in this one, and I assume, yeah, it's like, I mean, it largely looks the same, right? So they've, you know, put that, there you go, there's that same place again, but this is all the One Ring, right? So that's what that's based on. So that's cool. Okay, really interesting. So there's either one of those to start with, so that's cool. Then we also have, this is a little bit older, this one, Tales from the Lone Lands. The Tales from the Lone Lands contains 6 adventures for the One Ring, the official tabletop role-playing game based on the works of Tolkien, blah, blah, blah. Ancient Evil's wake as the Dark Lord stretches forth his hand. Over the course of these adventures, the heroes may thwart the spies and stratagems of the enemy, explore long-lost wonders of the North, and travel far from hearth and home, preserve the spark of hope, and one day these empty, wounded lands shall be healed, fail, and all will be destroyed. And this has got a series of adventures: a troll hole, if ever there was one, messing about in boats, kings of the little kingdoms, not to strike without need, wonder of the northern world, and the quest of Amon-Guruthos. That sounds cool. Amon-Guruthos. And each of them are sort of 4 or 5 part adventures with, you know, NPCs. Oh, this is interesting. Like this one talks about a voyage, and it's got a little voyage events table, so additional rules associated with them, new magic items and elements like that, and obviously all the stats and everything required, and some nice artwork in there. So there's Tales from the Lone Lands. You might notice that these are all Free League books. Next is, and this one's still in the wrapper. Look at that, Dragonbane: Path of Glory. Coming to the legendary Dead Forest in search of treasure, glory, and a solution to the ancient curse. Laying waste to the forest, the adventurers soon find themselves embroiled in an epic conflict reaching back to the very foundations of the world. The quest will take the adventurers through the depths of the forest, under the mountain, and into a strange new land where the fate of the world will be determined. This was the first major adventure campaign released for the original Swedish adventure of Dragonbane RPG. In 3 installments, blah blah blah. This new edition, reimagined and updated, collects the original trilogy into 1 volume, and Millie says it's a huge campaign, some very funny bits, very epic. Cool. And Minotaurs on the front. Awesome. You can play a Minotaur in Heroic Deeds. That's pretty cool. I haven't played Dragonbane. I've got Dragonbane right there on the shelf, the starter box. But I've watched a lot of videos about it, and I like the sound of it. It sounds like it's a lot of fun, and it's kind of easy to learn and get into. And there is some depth there as well, so that's really cool. There's a double-sided map in here as well. That's lovely. Painted by Francesca Berald. So that's going to look fantastic. If you don't know who she is, go check her out on Twitter and everything. She does all the maps at the moment, and they are awesome maps. Hang on. Indeed, Dennis. Mirth and Mayhem. Right, the next one. Vesen. The Lost Mountain Saga. This looks like another campaign. The Lost Mountain Saga is an epic campaign of 5 mysteries for Vesen Nordic horror role-playing. We had a game of Vesen on the channel a long time ago. The Haunting of Hoxley Hall? The Haunting of Hoxley Hall. Look at that, I remembered it. That was good fun. Ben ran that. That was good fun. It's kind of quirky, isn't it? Old Nordic folktales, social intrigue, and unspeakable horrors lurking in every shadow as they travel across the north. The Lost Mountain Saga is written by actor and podcaster Eleanor De Lorenzo, and based on her original podcast with the same name, but expanded and modified for this official release. Wow. Okay. Oh, Millie, one of the first ones you watched. That's great. So this has got Duty and Despair, The Beginning of the Fall, Where the Sun Dies, The Prince and the Witch, The Lost Mountains Saga. It's a campaign set in the mythic north based on a podcast. Interesting. I wanted to experiment with the idea that Sweden, in this mythical setting, was a central hub for various mysterious events, and that the north harboured unexplored riches that could change the entire world order. It is by no means a historical document. Get that down. The rule of fun, and sometimes the rule of what is the most terrifying thing I can think of, guided this book from start to finish. Okay, cool. So you've got some scenarios, locations, NPCs. You've got some funky maps in there. Yeah. So that looks pretty cool. There we go. Vesen. Oh my lord. Wait, this one will be an advanced one, I think. Symbaroum. Davokar Awakens. The 6th and final episode in the Chronicle of the Throne of Thrones. Throne of Thrones. Not a Game of Thrones. It's a Throne of Thrones. Wow. The eternal night has descended on the forest of Davokar. Spoilers. In the 6th and final episode in the Chronicle of the Throne of Thorns. Oh, Throne of Thorns. Sorry, not Throne of Thrones. Look at me. It's late. I'm tired. Throne of Thorns. The fate of the world is decided. The darkness that for centuries has been fettered by the roots of the woods breaks free and spreads in all directions. The living are faced with a seemingly hopeless fight against a never-ending flood of merciless enemies. Sounds cool. But is all hope lost? Featured content. The adventure Davokar Awakens, where the players are given a chance to impact the fight for the Throne of Thorns. Maps and descriptions of a dozen adventure locations, brimming with tough challenges. Guidelines for journeys in the awakened Davokar, completed with new event tables. So useful stuff, even if you're not running the campaign, right? Often these campaign books have resources that you can use even if you're not directly doing that campaign. Chapter on the battle against the darkness with descriptions of defending and attacking units. New treasure tables, there you go. New artifacts and a customized list of mishaps, which can affect uninformed or ill-prepared adventurers, which is probably 99% of them. This book requires the Symbaroum core rulebook. I think they all require the core rulebooks at the moment. Does not come on its own without the Advanced Player's Guide, Games Master's Guide, and Monster Codex. There you go. Symbaroum, Part 6. Probably less likely a choice, I don't know. And then another Symbaroum one. Here we go. City of Eternal Euphoria, featuring the 3-part campaign, The Outrage of Betrayed Brethren. Brethren. I'm having trouble talking tonight, aren't I? Let's have some more beer, that might help. Okay. So this is the last one, don't worry. The festival season is drawing close in the City of Eternal Euphoria, and it will be a season like no other. On the surface, nothing seems out of the ordinary. Jester troops are honing their performances. Brewers are refining their recipes. Mask makers are sketching out the year's novelties. And among the population at large, excitement is rising every day. But nothing is as it should be. In reality, the threat against Agrella and its inhabitants has never been greater. The question is, will someone notice the lurking dangers in time to avert the looming catastrophe? Will that be you? The campaign, The Outrage of Betrayed Brethren, with the adventures, intrigue, assassination, and chaos, offering the game group a tumultuous experience of how fantastically fearsome Agrella's festivals can be. So you got some weird, messed up festivals going on. There's a thorough overview of Agrella's history, activities, factions, and conflicts, a freestanding double-sided colour map, a large number of establishments where the player characters can eat, rest, party. That's cool. That sounds like that might be useful for other games as well, right? A chapter for the Games Master featuring hidden conspiracies and plot hooks. Nice. This requires Simbrum core rulebook. There you go. So those are our 7 books, and the person that will be getting a book is Wojtek. Hey. So I will be talking to Wojtek very soon about this on the Discord in Gartopia to see which of those 7 books he would like to receive as a thank you for being a long-time supporter. And then we will be doing the same thing next month. And I will add more things into this as we go. Not only do I receive things, but also I will buy things that I will put into this. The kind of branch out from Free League, and some of the newer things maybe popping up and appearing. I might go into Drive-Thru RPG and have a look at some things that are new and exciting, and then give a Drive-Thru RPG voucher away as well to some people, so they can get something that they may is more tailored to them. But I've got some of these cool books, and there's some cool people supporting us, so I thought, hey, I'm not using these, and do some schmoozing at a con. Yeah. That's my blind spot at the moment. I can do that. Give me a shot of tequila and I'll talk to everyone. No, not really. So Wojtek, congrats. You're getting a book. I will get in contact with you on Gartopia and tell you the 7 and see which one you want. We'll come again next month. So soon I'm going to be setting up a Shadowdark campaign. I think I've already got roll a d12 to schmooze. Oh yeah, that's the hero die. I think I've got 2 players already. We're going to get some more players. 3 players already, actually. So that will be good. I don't want to have a massive party of players. I think I might just have 4 players, maybe 5. Having more players is useful, because then if someone's not there, it's, you can still play. But having lots of players, sometimes it's hard to share that spotlight round, right? And a small group. Like I really enjoyed the Hyperborea, which is just over there game, because there was just a few players and me, and it was Aldine, Dennis, and Dan, and it was a lot of fun. 3 players and all kinds of shenanigans happened. If you haven't seen that show, 6 episodes, go on the YouTube channel. It's on the homepage. The series is there. Lots of fun. And we'll come back to that one at some point, because they still have to take down the Crab King. So that's cool. Yeah, cool. Okay. Well, I didn't have anything else really that I was going to talk about. I was tempted to play some sort of game online, but I don't think you guys are really going to want to watch me play Dungeon Master or Talisman or something. So what I will do is I will say good night. Thank you for joining me and putting up with all my heroic deed stuff and talking about Shadowdark a bit and what I want to do in the future. And well done, Wojciech, for you didn't do anything other than support the channel, and you've got a book out of it. So that will be winging its way to you very soon. And thanks very much. I hope everyone has a great rest of the week and a good weekend coming up. For those in the UK, it's a bank holiday weekend. So Monday's off for everyone. For me, that's annoying because I don't work Mondays, but it does mean my kids are off on Monday, which means I don't get to do any writing next Monday. Well, not no writing. I will do some writing, but I don't get to do my... I walk 45 minutes to Darkfire Cafe, which is recent. I say recent, but the last couple of years opened up in St Albans, where I live. So I walk over there, sit down, and I write for 5 hours, 6 hours, and then I walk to my son's school and I meet all the rest of the family, and then we all come home together. So it's turned into a really nice way to spend my Monday, especially yesterday when it was nice and sunny and the walk was lovely on the way there. And yeah, I got to get a load of stuff done. The running, that was the bit I didn't talk about. The running the game section in Heroic Deeds is coming on really well. And I've done running journeys, running exploration, running combat's nearly finished. Interactions and dispositions is nearly finished. Then I need to do the emergent campaign and downtime, and then that section is done. It just talks about some of the thinking, some of the kind of, I suppose at work you'd say the offline conversation. It's not the official part. That's in the rules. Exploration rules are here. In the running exploration bit, it says, yeah, sometimes you can do this, or what that means is this, or think about this when you're doing that, right? So giving advice that I've learned from running my game and the thinking behind the rules is in that bit. It's not about how to run Dungeons and Dragons or role-playing games in general. It's the specific bits about heroic deeds and how to do it. So and there's going to be some tables in there for like, if you're in a dungeon, here's like decorative things and architectural styles and furniture that you might find and all that kind of stuff. So yeah. Anyway, that little sidetrack there. Look, thanks very much for watching. If you're watching this back later, please do check out the links. Join us on the Discord. We've got over 700 people having lots of fun on the Discord and chatting away. It's not one of those crazy Discords where it's like machine gun rattling around. It's generally a bit more of a slower, more considered, but still, great community of people talking and sharing ideas. And if you feel inclined to do so, please check out the Patreon. There's a link below. And even if you just join for free, that's fine. Right, we can share stuff with you, and you'll see that what's going on. And maybe one day you'll be like, oh my god, they're doing these cool things now, and I'll have been able to do more through the Patreon. And you may say, okay, now I'm gonna support financially because I think it's now worth it, right? But however you want to support us, come and join in, like and comment, all that stuff. There is some crazy, there's some crazy on Gartopia, Harley. There sure is, Harley. Sorry, Rich. One thing I would like to see in adventure write-ups is an idea as to how long a game should run, especially for cons. Okay. I will take that information away and do something with it. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I'm Pete. This is Garblag Games. Stay safe and happy gaming. Get those games in. See you later.